Hey, we're doing Geekpourri. Up next on Geek Out SA.
Do not attempt to adjust your YouTube video. We control the stream.
Is the mic going up and down? Is the mic going up on OBS? And welcome back to Geek Out SA. It's Friday and we're having fun.
Hey!
We're back.
Yay, it's us. I'm trying to make sure I'm like
Sans well, you're the interim producer.
Sans Shelby, who
Sans
was
Shelby.
the producer after Aaron, who was the producer after we lost Stuart, who was the producer after we lost
You can like
Al.
see through my head.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's
I'm
yellow.
not sure why you chose that hat. You just got a haircut. Just take your hat off because you look weird. Why?
Because I always wear a hat.
I know you always wear a hat, but it was your last minute. You were like, "Oh my God, I don't have a hat." I'm gonna have to hang some hats in the studio so that you have like a last minute hat.
Yeah.
To go to.
What was it? I wanted to buy one of those IKEA heads.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
we can
yeah,
put
yeah.
a cap on it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a light up IKEA head, it like changes colors.
Yeah, I have the one that's like it looks like a pencil, and then it lights up and it changes color. So we looked at the head, but the head was like $40 or something. I don't know. It was something that we were
like $35.99.
we weren't willing to pay at the time. We were like, whatever. So. So yeah, we've spent a lot of time at IKEA lately, so we kind of have IKEA on the mind because aside from doing this show and like working our jobs and everything, we're like living our empty nester dreams, and so we're remodeling our home and like taking it into this century because we bought our home many years ago when our children were young, when we were young, and it was built in the early 1980s, so that kind of dates it and tells you kind of where the house is. It's almost as old as Vincent and I are. Yeah, it's close. It's close. And so it definitely
I was 10
needed
when it was built. It was 84, right?
Yeah, it was built in 84, so I was 11 and you were 10, so... I actually lived in this side of town when this subdivision was being built.
Yeah.
And so I knew all about it, and this is where the rich kids used to live when I was growing up. So I was very excited to get a house where all the rich kids lived in San Antonio in my mind. Because when we got our house, we were like 28, So you're still a kid then, and you have different ideas of what things mean versus what you think now when you're almost 50, what it means to be rich and stuff. So, but we've spent a lot of time at IKEA lately, so we know all about their inventory because that's what we're using to remodel our home.
But we're talking Geekpourri today. We digress. I'm gonna stick my thing backwards. Okay. There we go.
Go ahead. You feel better now?
Better.
Okay. So explain to the audience.
So at least I have a cap on.
Explain to anybody who's new what Geekpourri is.
So Geekpourri is when we get to a point where we don't have anything to talk about extensively, so we talk about a bunch of stuff that's in the geek world or happening right now.
Or we do have something to talk about extensively, but it's like topics that we've talked about a lot. Yeah. Because we've been doing this a long time. So there are certain topics that we've talked about a lot, and we do watch a lot of TV. So it tends to be like sometimes we talk about TV shows.
Because you didn't add some of the TV shows that we're watching.
Right, because it's a lot. So I wanted
It's a lot. It is a lot.
I wanted our Geekpourri to be like potpourri, where it's like a little spattering of everything. So when we talk Geekpourri, we're trying to talk like TV shows, movies, comics, video games, sometimes toys if new toys are coming out or if we've seen something. Yeah. So it kind of depends on how much time we have. And sometimes we watch a lot of TV shows and stuff, so we end up like spending too much time on the TV shows, and then we have to rush through everything else at the end.
So let's not do that this time.
So we're gonna
start out the Game of Thrones what would you call it? Prequel?
Yeah, it's a prequel. It's called the House of Dragons.
Yeah,
right?
House of Dragons.
Yeah. So this takes us back to the grand era of the Targaryens and seeing some of that demise of how the Targaryens downfall happen to where we get to Daenerys when we get to the current Game of
The
Thrones?
cool thing is that because I didn't know this was a family, it was a Valerian family.
Oh, because
And
of
they
Valerian steel,
they
you
talk
just
about
thought.
the Valerian steel. We thought it was just like a land.
Like more of an ethnicity, yeah, like a part of, yeah, Westeros, but
Yeah.
yeah. I also don't know that I knew that, and I even read the books, and I don't know that I
Right.
was clear on that. So that's interesting to see because we're at the part where the Valerians and the Targaryens are kind of coming together to cement their hold on Westeros, basically, right?
See,
And
but the thing about the Valerians and the Targaryens is they both have dragons, right?
No, well,
I thought they do have
they
both have
do,
dragons.
but it's because the Valerian
So that's
is
why
married
they're-
to the current head of Valerians is married to a Targaryen as well, so
Yeah.
they got that lineage. But they're the ones that have more of the resources, basically. So you want to get with them because they have the resources. Is kind of what I'm picking up from this prequel, is they're trying to bring in the resources that the Valerians
But this could be
have.
the reason why there are no dragons when we start Game of Thrones.
Right, we're gonna find out what happened, and we know that there's a Mad King coming.
Yeah.
But
that's like 100 years down the road, isn't it?
So I'm not quite sure what the timeline is. I'm still
Because I think they said, because you were on your phone, it's like 100 and
I'm always on my phone.
it was like 178 years before the Mad King. They said it on the first episode. They
said it on the first okay.
first episode. They didn't say anything. They just showed this amount of time. It was 100 and something before the Mad King.
And the Mad King is Aegon, right? I'm pretty sure that's his name, and that's the name of the baby. So that's why I was a little confused. But they do name they do subsequent names. So it's this is a family name, and they've had this name, and they've had this name, and another one has this name, and this is this one, and this one, and this one. And it's interesting to see, it feels like it's the beginning of some of these bigger houses that we see, like the Lancasters.
Uh-huh.
So, the Lancaster that we're currently seeing, he's not that arrogant.
Jason Lannister, right?
Yeah, but he's arrogant, but he's not the same as what we're used to with the Lancasters.
Right.
I think we're going to see an evolution. Hopefully, we're going to see an evolution of some of these houses and how they grew to the houses that we know now. The other thing that I saw is apparently this is doing well enough, or they thought that this would do well enough that they've started something else, and we're going to get just a Jon Snow show as well.
Like prequel or after?
I think after.
That would be cool.
That's what it seems like, yeah. So
or they could just reshoot the last season.
I didn't hate the last season. It wasn't terrible.
I hated the ending.
You hated the ending?
Hated the ending.
Really? To be honest, I don't even remember the ending. I don't even know. I don't even remember what happened.
They could have done
he kills Daenerys, right?
Well, but the thing is, I hated the part that we built up all this stuff about the White Walkers.
Oh yeah, and then they were kind of ended pretty quickly.
And then you get rid of them in one episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. That wasn't written very well for me, I don't think. I had a problem with that, for sure.
Well, and maybe we'll see more. Maybe we'll see more of that in the Jon Snow series.
Maybe
we'll see him more out, where the walkers are and seeing what the walkers are doing, and maybe it'll become more of a Jon Snow Walking Dead. I don't know. Because we're getting ready to wrap up The Walking Dead, although they have other things in the works.
Yeah.
With going forward with Negan and what's her face? What is her face?
Yeah.
Maggie.
Maggie.
Yeah. So they're going to go forward with a show about them. So there could be, I guess, a little bit of an opening for a zombie show, and maybe Jon Snow's show could be that zombie show, or we could learn more about the White Walkers.
The White Walkers.
Yeah. So I think there's enough in there that they could give us quite a bit if they do well.
Right.
I think one of the things that Game of Thrones does really well is their cinematography and their imagery.
Uh-huh.
I think they tell the story really well visually, and that keeps people coming back because they want to see the costuming, they want to see the sets, they want to see the pomp and circumstance. And it's kind of like watching a novella or watching a soap opera, right? You get a little of that, like when we were growing up, it was like Dallas and Falcon Crest and stuff, like your parents would watch nighttime soap operas. So I get that kind of feeling when I'm watching it because of all the like backstabbing and this and that and, you know, all the political intrigue and stuff like that.
And I think this is doing more well than the next one that we're going to talk about, which is the Lord of the Rings prequel, which was Power of the Rings.
Yeah, so I think people are struggling with the Lord of the Rings because people that love the Lord of the Rings are like
we need
Star
to catch
Wars
up with
people.
because we're still behind. I think another one was released already, so we're behind too.
Behind a couple, yeah.
Yeah.
But I definitely think Lord of the Rings people are kind of like Star Wars people.
Mm-hmm.
And they know like all the lore, they know all the places, they know all the people. And so apparently when the Lord of the Rings rights were purchased, it was only parts of it that were purchased. So there are certain characters and things that are left out. I didn't quite understand this. Like me and some of my geek friends were talking about, and then I have some like hardcore like Lord of the Rings geek friends.
Here's the thing. In this time, this is the time before like hobbits.
Right.
This is the time before wizards. Mm-hmm. There's not supposed to be wizards there yet.
Yeah.
And we're thinking this guy that comes in is a wizard, assuming.
Right.
But he's not supposed to be there yet.
Right. He's fallen from the stars or something, from another dimension or whatever we're going to find out. Yeah, I'm interested to see that storyline, and I like the little
I don't hate it. I'm not hating it.
No, I don't hate it at all. I don't know all the lore and stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing that I have a problem with that I've seen that other people have a problem with is, and it's not necessarily a problem, I think you just have to get used to it, is the main character who's an elf. Her acting is kind of similar to Kristen Stewart, is that her name? The chick from Twilight? Who's the chick from Twilight? That chick from Twilight, she's got that very like I'm always constipated look on her face, and she kind of like is the same monotone kind of acting, and so that throws you off a little bit because she's supposed to really be, you know, on this passionate quest and everything, and like she wants to avenge her brother, and she's like balking everybody and going against the rules. And I get it that she's like an elf, and so there's a certain something about being an elf, right?
Right.
And you hold yourself a certain way and you behave a certain way. But she's also an elf who is balking the norm basically, and she's not listening to the rules. So why are we not getting a little more from her? Because even I felt like Legolas, he was another elf that was kind of like that, right?
Yeah.
And we got more from him acting wise. And we're getting a lot. I really love the elf character. Oh God, I don't know his name. He's the African American young man.
Yeah, the one that
chop the tree that just breaks your heart. He emotes so well.
Yeah,
and
he's a great character.
He's a great character. He's a great little actor, and you root for him like every second he's there, and you're like, oh, I want to see him more.
Yeah,
you know. And so I think that's what we're missing with her a little bit, is you kind of feel like, so maybe they
Are they doing that on purpose though?
See, I don't know. That's what I mean. Do we need to sit with it for a while?
Is there a point where we're gonna go through it and not like her for some reason? Are they gonna pull a Daenerys on us with her?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's that or if it's just like she just doesn't have the acting chops to pull this off, maybe, or it's just the way that she's being directed.
Right.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch it a little bit longer because it's. I don't hate her, and I do know that the elves have a certain aloofness, you know, and there is this distance between humans and elfdom and
Right.
some of the other species, and so I get it, and I really am enjoying like the part with the dwarves and the elf that goes to visit the dwarf. So there are some really good things, and again, I feel like they're doing really good job with the cinematography.
Yeah.
And giving us that.
Well, you have to. You have to with Lord of the Rings. You have to do great cinematography with that.
Well, especially because of what people were accustomed to with the movies.
Yeah.
You can't let us down. So I think that they've matched that.
Yes.
And so I don't think
I agree with
I have
you.
not been disappointed with that aspect of it. I'm there for the pageantry, right?
Right.
So I'll stay for the pageantry. So.
Right.
But I'm going to continue to watch it and see how that goes. And then once we kind of get towards the end, these are some of the shows that we'll kind of talk to you guys about and recap, you know, what we thought of the whole season and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's going to be cool. So the next thing we're watching also that just came up is Stargirl. Stargirl, and they're doing this whole frenemies season.
So, Stargirl has always, to me, been like real cutesy, real kind of teeny bopper. I'm like really surprised that you like it because it's. I feel like it's much more.
Well, the
made
last
for,
season
like,
got
tweens.
got a little more gritty with Solomon Grundy and all of that happened with that.
A
Towards
little,
the end.
a little bit, yeah, a little bit. But you know, think
But-
about it. These
but
days, kids
you-
watch Stranger Things
They're
and stuff like
leading
that.
up at the end. Well, at the end of every season, I think it got kind of gritty.
Like a little,
A
but
little.
not to what I would think. Like, I don't think of it as an adult show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't dislike it. I just think that like if we had kids in the house, especially girls, I would definitely want to sit with them and watch this show. I think it's a really cute show. The little actors and stuff in this show are really cute.
Yeah.
I really like the little girl that they picked as Stargirl. You want to like her so much. Like she's so good at being a little goody two shoes and like wanting to be that hero and wanting to do the right thing every time. And
Right.
you want to be there with her. And so it's really cute in this newest season with this frenemies because she's still there championing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's still there like, come on guys, like these people could be
So,
really
but
good.
what are your thoughts on them bringing Starman back, Joel McHale, to the show?
So,
Do you think it's thrown it off a bit?
well, it's funny because we watched him in Community.
Yeah.
And so I have a certain, sorry, I got the wiggles. I have a certain idea of who he is as a person because of Community, I guess. So like that characterization.
He doesn't seem to be acting that,
Right. So
which is
At-
different.
at
Which is,
first
I
he-
was expecting that.
at first I thought that's where they were going to go with
Yeah.
him, right? And I thought, oh, well, it's just,
There's a little bit of comedy there,
there's
but
a little bit of that character.
not what we're used to
right.
him doing.
So that I really liked because I always like to see that stretch in an actor where, you know, you just can't help it when they come in at first and they've been in something else. You just can't help to kind of remember that and think about that a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you really kind of need them to act well enough that they pull you out of that, right?
Yeah. But
and
you have
so-
him coming in feeling like a failed superhero, which is kind of something that we don't always get to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and he's been out of the game for a while, so he's lost, right?
Well, he's been
and-
dead.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's been dead, but that's what I call being out of the game for
Yeah.
a while. He's been dead, but he's come back. So this seems to be, and I wonder, this seems to be
Who wrote the Book of Love?
the thing,
No.
the thing that we're seeing a lot of lately, and I think it's because here we are getting ready to be in our 50s. It's a lot of like people from our generation that are writing these things, and they're starting to get this sense and this feeling of passing on the torch. And I feel it, and maybe it's because I'm getting ready to be 50, and maybe that's what I'm seeing in all of these things. But I'm seeing a lot of this passing on the torch storyline, right?
Right.
So that's what we're getting in Stargirl. Is he's conflicted. He wants to be helpful. He wants to be useful. He's used to being Starman.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else around him has either passed on the torch, right? And the younger generation is picking up the mantle. And so it's him like letting go of that.
Yeah, but what are your thoughts on, because the last one we saw, he gets his own suit. Do you think they're going to try to spin this off to do a Starman?
I don't see that being something that's successful, so I don't think so. I think that he can be a mentor, and I think the stuff with him and Pat is a really good...
Is that the thing that they're going to do with superhero? I think it was something that was going to be called Superhero University or something like that. DC Superhero University, and he's going to be one of the instructors.
I could see
something like that.
I
That
could
kind of
see something
spin-off?
like that being, to where he gets to do that, and he
Yeah.
becomes one of those. I could see that being something, because we do hear about like, the Green Lantern and the Green Lantern's daughter, and we get little glimpses of that in this show. So I could see that. I could see him going and like getting us interested to get over to that.
We saw her in like maybe 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, something like that. So.
And then nothing after that.
Right.
So.
And they've seen that like show.
But they have a lot of stuff in the plans, and then they don't follow through with them.
I know.
Like, we still haven't heard anything about the Green Arrow. And then I've also heard that the Green Arrow is going to be coming back with Stephen Amell.
Who knows? Like some of these actors can't find other jobs, and they're like, well, I was successful in this job, and then put me back in it or whatever. But we saw that it was successful. Like, people enjoyed the X-Men. We like that, like, kind of watching kids come into their powers and stuff like that, and getting to learn about themselves. And we haven't had something like that on TV, on Netflix, on anything like that for a while. So I feel like it could be time for that. And if people are watching Stargirl, and then we transition from these kids, and we go to this kind of university for these kids, and I think that could be successful.
That would be cool. I would agree. So another thing we've been doing is taking a little, we haven't been watching them, but stuff is coming out here pretty soon for movies.
Yeah, so it's been kind of dry for movies lately. Like, it hasn't been a lot.
But there's a couple of things I'm really excited for. Clerks 3 being one of them.
Yeah, so we talk about a lot of the comic stuff, but people may not know that you're just like a huge Kevin Smith guy. Like, I had never even heard of Kevin Smith when we got married.
Yeah.
And then you guys like introduced me to Clerks, which, dear Lord. And I was such a goody and like, had the Christian parents and stuff, that just watching that and like seeing them talk about fellatio and stuff like on a movie, like just out there, and like the way they talked about people, and I was totally thrown when I first saw that movie. And of course, it's funny. It just kind of took me back. And so then of course we saw Clerks 2, and we've seen Dogma and Chasing Amy and Mallrats and all of it. Don't even mention that one. So we've seen all of his other stuff, and I really like the voice that he has and his comedy, and I like his characterizations and stuff. So I'm excited to see how he kind of wraps this up. But I'm interested.
But they're like making a movie about Clerks, is the thing? Is what it's about?
Yeah.
What I've seen so far. So I want to see how that works out.
I'm just curious what's going to happen with it, because its release date was supposed to be September the 13th. And I looked, because I was like, Vince really wants to go to this. And I've looked, and so far, it's not showing anywhere in San Antonio.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's all about.
Who knows?
I'm curious. But as soon as we can find it, we'll definitely watch it. And then maybe we'll do... Maybe we'll do all about Kevin Smith. Do an episode all
Kevin
about
Smith.
Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith
then-
and the first Daredevil movie.
Yeah. Well, and he's written for several shows. And done stuff like that. And then
like,
we've talked about him for
even
the
like
He-Man,
the He-Man
and
thing,
stuff. Yeah.
And people hated that.
And people hated that, which I don't know why.
I liked it.
I did too.
Yeah.
You know, and he's written for comics and done some other stuff. And he's a big comic guy, you know, and he has the Secret Stash. Is that the name of his comic spot or whatever? Yeah.
Electric Jeans says, I used to love everything that Kevin Smith stood for and made. He did.
No, it says he's old hat.
He's
now.
old hat now.
Just another page shill, sadly. Aw. I don't know. I mean, I don't know him personally, so probably. I think people get to that point in their lives where it's just like, well, I'm making money.
I mean, it's one of the things, like, we talked about it about He-Man, that a long time ago, he's like, he hated He-Man. And he talked about it, like, on an interview. And he goes on to take it, oh, yeah, I love He-Man. He-Man's great. When he gets the money to do that cartoon.
Yeah, but sometimes you know that you've got to, like, take the opportunities that they give you because there's another opportunity 2 opportunities away that you actually really want. And in order to get that opportunity, you've got to, like, kiss a little tail back over here, kind of. So I wonder if some
really
of that...
don't think he did a bad job for...
I liked He-Man. I liked it a lot, actually. I really enjoyed it. And He-Man's one of my favorites. Like, my brother and I used to play He-Man all the time, so...
It wasn't He-Man heavy.
I don't think it needed to be.
It could have been a little more He-Man heavy.
Yeah.
But...
Well, I was hoping they were going to keep going with it, and then we were going to get to see some more He-Man after that.
Because the thing is, I don't think it was called He-Man. It was called Masters of the Universe.
It was called Masters of the Universe, yeah. Yeah, because it was about all of them, so, yeah. So after Kevin Smith, this is an interesting transition to make, but Vince is the Kevin Smith guy. Well, I'm a Disney girl. I am like 100,000,000 bazillion% a Disney girl. I have a Disney room upstairs. I have like a Blu-ray player and a TV up there where I take Disney movies to play up in my Disney room while I do crafting. I'm a Disney girl, okay, and I always have been. And
she's a Disney girl in Disney World.
And so I am really looking forward to the live action Pinocchio. It's already out on Disney Plus, so it's something that I'm hoping to maybe see this weekend. I was really disappointed in Dumbo. I thought they did a really terrible job. I thought Beauty and the Beast was exceptional. I really enjoyed Cinderella. I thought it was good. The Lion King I thought was kind of pointless to do The Lion King as a live action, but whatever floats their boat. Tom Hanks is in. He's Geppetto in the new live action Pinocchio. So I feel like you can't go wrong with Tom Hanks no matter what he touches.
Right.
But the CGI and everything looks really good in this. So I'm really excited to see this one. So it's already out if you're a Disney fan.
Yeah, Pinocchio is one of my favorites.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Cartoons.
And just like to see the Blue Fairy and stuff. Like I've watched the trailer several times because it looks so good. I love Pinocchio. And then
makes you think of AI.
It does make me think of AI, which then makes me cry. Then the other one that I'm really looking forward to, which is causing a bunch of stir and a bunch of controversy, is the live action Little Mermaid.
Big time.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this because they've been talking about doing this for a long time.
We've known for a couple of years now that this was coming.
Yeah.
And we've known who the cast is going to be. So it shouldn't be a surprise. But they released the trailer. And it's not coming out till 2023. So it's not something that we're going to see too soon. But next year, which is coming faster than you would believe. So the Little Mermaid in the live action it's Halle Berry, not Halle Berry. She's a young girl. She gets confused with Halle Berry because her name is like the same, but it's not Halle Berry because Halle Berry's like our age.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make any sense to be the Little Mermaid, but it's a young girl. She is gorgeous. She's so gorgeous. And she, like, just from the trailer that you see, she's just singing part of that world. which is one of my favorite songs of all time. Like Little Mermaid is my jam. It's my movie. Like poor Vincent has probably seen it 65 times at this point. Like, yeah, and I sing the songs all the time. But just the way like she looks up and the way her eyes are so big, and she is Ariel. She is so Ariel. Like, I don't care what anybody says about like her skin tone or her skin. I mean, they do know that this is like made up creatures, and like mermaids aren't real, so they can be any ethnicity that we choose for them to be. It's about the acting, and just from that trailer, I can already tell that she's got it. She's got it. So I'm really, really excited to see that.
So are they going to make it more like the actual fairy tale? Which is like super gruesome, or are they more like the cartoon?
They're not. They're going to do just like Disney has done with all their other live actions, and it's going to follow almost exactly the same way.
Maleficent didn't.
But Maleficent was a look at Maleficent, and the only time we had seen Maleficent in animation was in Sleeping Beauty.
Right.
So this was a look at a character that we had only gotten this much of a glimpse from. So that was different. And then in Aladdin, they made some changes because they had been chastised for being politically incorrect when they did Aladdin and stuff like that. And they made some changes in Dumbo because they had some politically incorrect things in Dumbo too.
Right.
But I liked the changes that they made in Aladdin because I love Aladdin. We've watched Aladdin probably 55 times. And and I liked it because they gave Jasmine a little more power, and she was a little more powerful, and they were a little more female forward, which I'm always championing, which I'm sure people are getting tired of hearing. But I thought they did it in a good way. And they gave her a song, and they gave her some strength, but they also showed her weakness within her strength. So they might add like a new song or something to The Little Mermaid, but aside from that, it's going to be straight just like the animated.
So here's the argument. People are going through and they're saying, well, why change Ariel's ethnicity if you've already established that? And here's the thing with that. If that's the case, they're saying, oh, well, just do a brand new character and then do something on that person. They've already done that with, was the Princess and the Toad? What was that called?
Oh, with Tatiana, who's in Louisiana. It's, The Princess and the Frog.
Princess and the Frog?
Yeah.
And it wasn't as well received. Nobody wanted to go watch it.
Which they should have, because it's a really great movie.
Yeah. And I was like, if they do that and do a brand new character and it's not supported, then do something that is a character that is supported, that already has a following.
They have a following.
Yeah.
So it's just about kind of modernizing that following and bringing it to some other people.
I may sound tinfoil hat, but I 100% believe that Disney does casting like this to deflect criticism from rehashing.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. 100%. They are doing casting
treading old properties.
They are doing casting.
Yeah, well, they're gonna make money off of that,
right?
Off the toys.
Well, and they're doing the casting to try to get rid of some of that negative stereotyping that they've had because of some of the problems that they've had. But I will say, for me personally, because I'm not a cancel culture. I need to start
wearing my readers when I'm on here, or move this closer.
I'm not a cancel culture person, but
he says the Princess and the Frog was great.
Yeah. But a lot of people are into that cancel culture and everything. But I think Disney is acknowledging, hey, we made some mistakes. Hey, we left out certain ethnicities. Hey, we haven't done a great job. Hey, we're a company who wants to make a lot of money, and this is where everybody's at right now. Or a lot of people who are probably going to watch our titles, so let me pander to them, right? Yeah. So I think it's a mix. I think it's a mix of both.
But that's the thing. People need to support that, because if this goes through and the people that have been pushing for this don't support it and don't go out and see it,
then Disney will stop doing it.
Disney's going to stop doing that, and it's pointless to be saying that that's something that you want and you don't support it.
Right.
So we need more diversity. Well, then support diversity.
Support the diversity. Yeah.
But and
Show
if
up
you,
for it. Watch the
yeah,
Princess
if
and
you
the
want the
Frog,
characters, if you want brand new characters, support those brand new characters. Why aren't people supporting the brand new Batwoman?
Right.
Same thing.
Right. Same thing. I agree. And she was good.
Yeah.
She was good. It
She
was
was
much
better than
with
the
her.
original.
Yep, it was much better with her on it. And I think there was just one more movie that we were going to talk about before we kind of moved on because we're talking.
There was one more movie. So we've been waiting for this for like years and years and years. Is Avatar 2?
Oh yeah, I've been excited to see those trailers, and that's supposed to be coming in like December.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really soon, and it's another one of those that's like really like cinematography heavy, CGI heavy, but that's what you want from it.
Yeah.
Like that's what you need, that's what you're hoping for, and it looks like they've done a really good job, and we're seeing like new parts of the world.
Well, because
new
they did a good
creatures.
job before people were doing a good job with CGI. And then the fact that people look at like She-Hulk and look at the difference. Oh, look where we come. But She-Hulk's a show. It's not a movie. So
Right.
they don't have the same
budget
for it. I mean, they could.
God knows what the budget is for Avatar 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another one that we're going to definitely watch, and then we'll give some, they want new stuff.
So yeah, I definitely want to.
Electric Dreams is not happy with Andor, I think.
I really like it because.
No, we can't talk about any more TV. We talk about Andor later. No.
I like it.
No.
I like it. But I'll tell you why.
Later.
I'll tell you why later.
Later. All right, so it's Geekpourri, so we got to talk about some other things. We got to talk about comics. So comics is more my jam than it's Vincent's jam. Vincent's not a reader. I always give him a hard time on the show about not being a reader.
Not any of the new stuff that I've been seeing. I have a real big interest in it.
No, well, maybe I liked it more than you liked it. The Darth Vader title, I thought you really liked those.
I really like those.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you don't. I don't know if you just skim them or like
No,
if you
I
read
read
them. Yeah, but I don't buy them for you because you don't like read them religiously. So,
No, but I read them. But when I read them, they're red.
I liked The Last Ronin.
I don't hold them
obviously.
like this.
Shut up, I don't either. Obviously, I like the Last Ronin series a lot, so I went to go check out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and
They're like on a pedestal.
No, they're not.
Yeah,
I
they
like
are.
some of the new storylines, so I picked up some of those, but those aren't really.
Let me turn around the camera and you'll see.
No. Those aren't really new. Those are old. So I picked up some old issues, like 127 to 132. So I'm gonna read those, and maybe we'll talk some more comics. But I did look to see, because obviously we had San Diego Comic-Con not too long ago in the summer in July, and we kind of had a lot of things happen, so we hadn't really looked at a lot of what happened at San Diego Comic-Con. But they do announce some releases of some comics that are coming soon. And so one of the ones that I'm really excited for, and I always forget the name of it, it's by Scotty Young. So if you know anything about comics and you know who Scotty Young is, he does all the like chibi art of characters. So it's like the Deadpool.
He's going to get his own comic?
Well, he's already had one. He's had this one. It's been out for a really long time, and then we've gone like years without another episode. I call it an episode. Another like. What do you call it? Like, you're getting a new book. I don't know what you call it. It's not called an episode, but I call it an episode.
Right.
It's called I Hate Fairyland.
A new comic.
Yeah, but it's called something else. Anyway, I just keep going. It's called I Hate Fairyland. And so it's like somebody who gets dropped into fairyland, but she's like, think of like Angelica from Rugrats. So she's kind of like that, and she's kind of like a psychotic warrior girl. And then she goes around like terrorizing fairyland. Anyway,
it's like that show that we saw?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like that. So it's really cute. And I love Scotty Young's art. Like the boys introduced me to Scotty Young and his
Right.
art, and I love all that little chibi type stuff. And this is kind of in that vein, but not exactly. But he's actually not doing the art for it this time. He's just doing the writing, and he's giving the art over to somebody else who's
Right.
going to kind of mimic his style.
Okay.
So I'm curious to see what that one's going to be about. Let's see what else is coming out.
Gargoyles.
Oh my god.
Another Disney thing.
Another.
So I remember watching the Gargoyles cartoon, but I didn't know that they had a comic.
So they had a limited batch run of comics, maybe in 2010 or something. I don't remember when. And they're like stupid expensive to get because it was just like a limited batch. So, you know, people have complained about it and wanted it back. And we really liked the storyline and everything. So they announced at San Diego Comic-Con that they're going to come back with the Gargoyles.
Right.
Some of it, from what I understand, some of it is going to be the storylines that they did in that original release of comics. Yeah, sorry, he bumped you. In that original release of comics, but some of it is going to be new stories, and it's going to connect to the show.
Right.
So we'll see how that plays out. I'm definitely going to be getting those. And then I know we're running low on time, so just one more that I wanted to talk about. There's this trend in comics of like kind of more like graphic novels. A lot of kids are reading graphic novels, and it's more of like personal stories, autobiographies, things like that. So there's a new one, and I actually heard some of my kids talking about it yesterday. It's called Gordita, Built Like SpongeBob. And it's about this young girl who's Hispanic, and she doesn't love her body. And if anybody watches TikTok and they know about that, like I Know Victoria's Secret song and everything about like kind of the way women have been treated because of the expectations of men in the fashion industry and stuff. So this kind of takes that idea and this idea of being Hispanic and who she is as Hispanic and the food that she loves and stuff. So
Right.
so it's nice to see that ethnicity when we're talking about ethnicity and bringing new stories to life. So this is not a superhero comic or anything, but it is a comic about kind of like everyday life and stuff. So I'm interested to read that and just see kind of where they go with that one.
Cool. I don't know anything about this last thing in games.
So I tried to send you the story. So I just started hearing kids kind of talk about it. So it's taken kind of the internet by storm, and I'm surprised you haven't seen it like on TikTok or anything, because you always watch like
nothing.
Facebook stories, TikTok. It's called Trombone something.
Trombone Champ.
Trombone Champ. So it's like Guitar Hero, but with a trombone. It looks pretty hilarious. It looks pretty awesome. It's from what I can tell, it's like a PC only game, and then you use like the arrow keys and the space bar and stuff, and you're hitting like the different
So it's like
pitches.
on Steam or something like that.
I guess, yeah. I haven't had a chance to look at it because I just like heard people talking about it this week. So it's pretty fresh and it's pretty new. And then our sons told me about some other video games, but I can't remember for the life of me. I forgot. I'm getting old and I forgot. I need to start writing these things down. But check it out. It's called Trombone Champ. Try to see if you can find it. Apparently, it's like hitting the internet by storm. Like people are like posting videos of themselves like playing it like on their computer, and like the different, like they're playing Beethoven's Fifth and stuff like on the trombone with their keyboards and everything. So it's just it's supposed to be a lot of fun, but it's like weird because it's a trombone, right?
Right.
So it's not like you would think of piano or guitar or something like that. So it looks funny. So I say check that out.
Yeah.
I'll try to check it out and see, and we'll
Check
report
it out.
back.
Yeah. So that was Geekpourri.
That was a
All
lot.
over the place.
And I ran at the end just like we said we weren't going to, and I
Yeah.
still ran through stuff, but that's okay. We get there.
But thanks for checking this out. I really appreciate it. If you haven't clicked on that subscribe button, click on that subscribe button and click on the notification bell so the next time we go live, you'll know. But thanks for checking us out. I'm Vince.
And I'm Colleen, and the producer.
Geek Out SA.